you are operating in a large playing field at the moment. You are operating in a large area. Hi, my name's Dee and welcome to Untitled Tarot, and welcome back if you're a returning subscriber. If you're not, press the button while you're here. Now, this is a general reading for whatever sign is in the title. It's a bulk introduction, as I always do for my new moon readings, so that you can fast forward past my waffle on the second and third ones that you watch, because I advise that you watch, obviously, your sun sign, but your rising sign and your moon sign. If you don't know what those are, there is a link in the description down below to get yourself a free birth chart. There's also a link to the Facebook page for this channel, where you can contact me directly if you're interested in a personal reading. So this is the new moon in Taurus for April. It's a special and a magical new moon. But let's just do the basic business first. It's a general reading. So general reading rules apply. If another person appears in this reading, roles can get reversed. I can be talking about you and mean them, or be talking about them and mean you. Although my readings are normally quite personal, so that doesn't very often come into play. This reading either is for you or it isn't. I'm using a Celtic cross, so there is a past and a present in the spread. If the past and the present don't fit, don't try and make it fit. If this reading's obviously not for you, have a look at your rising sign, have a look at your moon sign, have a look at some of the other wonderful new moon readers that are out there. And I would suggest that you ask a question prior to the reading. You don't have to. It's a general new moon reading, and I'll get into the new moon in a second. But if you want, ask a question prior to the reading. Take a moment to think about all of the questions that are around you. Focus on one of them, because that puts energy into the reading, which hopefully I will then give back to you in the form of the reading. That's how it's supposed to work anyway. Now, timing is not absolute, especially not with this one. Now, this could be a longer term reading. This is a very special new moon. It is new moon in Taurus, so it's very earthy, it's very practical. It's also very magical because it is conjunct Uranus. Uranus, the planet of the unexpected and the crazy. Now, intentions with it being conjunct Uranus, it implies a far larger cycle than just the general 6-month cycle from new moon to full moon in the same sign, or the 1 month cycle from new moon to new moon. And as we build up towards that new moon, you may find that you are coming up with new beliefs. Now, this is a time to make an intention based on those new beliefs. Now, that intention will not necessarily mature in the short term at all. But in the longer term, that intention is something that can direct events for years. However, it is a wonderful, magical new moon, but it's not going to feel that way. The sun is square Saturn, which means everything feels squeezed, trapped, there's stress and there's worry, everything feels unstable. And the fact that Uranus is there does help give that feeling of instability. But by this point, you should be isolating some new beliefs that you have acquired along the journey here. And it's time now to, not even to act on them, to intend about them. To say, not I'm going to do this tomorrow, but because I now believe this, I'm going to do this. Within the next month, within the next year, this is the general direction my life is going, whatever. It's a longer term intention with this moon. So I think I've covered up all the business there. So, as I say, there'll be a timestamp down below. Let me bring up the cards. Okay, Virgo, looking at these cards, I feel like I want to warn you against a rash course of action. But at the same time, I want you to surge forward with a new beginning. How you're feeling at the moment is that everything is changing, but the world seems to be supporting this with you. It seems to be in support of the changes that are going on around, but you're in a good place. We have the sun for the where you are. So good harvest, happiness, contentment, the happy, happy, joy, joy card. I'm really much drawn to the fact that this is a guy stood in a massive orrery in an even bigger building. So you are operating in a large playing field at the moment. You are operating in a large area. But this is clarified by the Six of Swords. So maybe it's a large area that, because it's so large, it involves you travelling to get from one side to the other of this area. Or maybe it's suggesting that offer of travel is here because of the basis of what you've done already. But I think you may be a little reluctant because what appears to be standing against you, and this is two really curious opposing cards. We have the Nine of Cups with wish fulfillment and the Two of Cups with love. So this Two of Cups is echoed in how other people are influencing you, and you're having to balance their wants and needs with your own, and you are feeling quite in conflict about this. But yes, you have been feeling more and more anxious recently because, one, your friends have been trying to pull you away from whatever this situation is, not to pull you away from a situation, but to take you to other places and expand your horizons a little. That's what I'm feeling. They're not trying to pull you away from anything. They're trying to pull you to things. But that in itself is also, you have to be very, very careful. You have to make sure you are using your intuition and listening to the highest purpose here, because the friends who are trying to pull you to something that fills you with wonder, fills you with awe, fills you with a sense of purpose, they are advising you right. Those that are trying to lead you just into a party trap, not so much. Because the God force that is suppressing you right now is Dionysus with merrymaking. But Dionysus is also a rebirth god, and I think that maybe you don't have to have a rebirth. So which is why you're worried that things may have to change so much that what you have achieved and what you've gathered together in life so far with relationship, love, that aspect of life, or self-love, gets put to, it doesn't have to be put to one side. Although you fear that to take advantage of this, it does have to be put to one side. You've been slow enough. No, that's not a fair way of putting it. You've built what you have built right now quite slowly. Slowly, surely, really sure-footedly, but determinedly. It's you didn't quit, you just kept going, you just made slow progress, and then more slow progress, and then more slow progress, and then after you look back for a while, you've come a long way. You have come a long way here, and you've got further to go yet with this Six of Swords. But Spirit is the one that's been bringing in this sense of anxiety, this sense of not everything is quite spot on, not everything is right, not everything is quite what I'm looking for right now. So dive into some of the illusions, be aware that they are illusions, but see what they can teach you. See, okay, this is really interesting. The moon clarified by the Five of Swords. Ask yourself, what would it mean to fail? And I think some of the answers on that will be nowhere near as horrible as what you think they are. If you set yourself up with quite a whole number of standards that you must bear or abide by, maybe one or two of them aren't as important. If this love is as strong as it looks like here, because that Two of Cups here is really, it's loud, but it's in opposition here. This one isn't as loud, but that's because you're being called to balance it with other forces in your life. But motion brings you victory. Moving on, whatever that means. Now, don't think that means moving on from the love. I think that it may be love and job, for example. Move on from the job and you're not sacrificing your love in the process, even though you're worried that you are. Because motion brings victory. We've got the Chariot. So there's also that indication that you need to make a commitment to something, which is something that you also fear because you're not entirely sure how deep this commitment is. How do you really have clarity about what this commitment is? But there is a warning in all of this, like I was saying, because we have the emotions are running high with the supermoon and extremes with the hot moon. Now, what the extremes card basically means is be careful about acting to the extreme. Be careful about doing something that is entirely and utterly emotion-based, because 2 days later you might not feel the same. You know, so no knee-jerk anger reactions. You are protected here. This is what the Sahariel, Angel of the Sky, is saying, that you are protected, but there is a big wide world out there which is opening itself up to you at the moment, but you are going to have to change to thoroughly integrate that. But you need to make sure that you are stepping on the right path, and that it's the path that you want to go ahead on, not just because you are bored with the other paths. Because you can have an end to torment, or it can all go horribly wrong. You know, that's Ten of Swords, you know. One of the meanings of the card is basically all goes horribly wrong. But also, you know, an end to torment can be a good thing, or it could be a bad thing if you think about some of the images that the Ten of Swords gives. Now, the Goetic spirit that came to support you is Simiges. Can make one appear like a soldier is what I'm drawing from this. Four of Swords. So you are going to have to rely on yourself. Whatever this love influence is, it's almost irrelevant to the decisions that you are making, because that love influence is either there or it's not. And if that love influence is there, they will love you after the change as well as before it. It's you fearing. And if that love influence isn't quite as real as it could be, then you don't need to be constantly balancing their needs against yours. You need to look within. But you also need to forgive. We have the Angel of Forgiveness. I choose to forgive all those who have hurt me in the past. So there's two messages in here. One is, if you need to walk away, walk away. Two, go to the new thing. Okay, that's the third one, because the second one was going to be, if you need to walk away, but if the love is real, you're not walking away from anything. You know, it's whatever direction you go, you're not walking away from the love. It will come with you. It will follow you. But this is with the Hermit on the bottom of the deck. Funnily enough, we've got the Six of Cups and the Hermit on the bottom of the deck, and I really feel that those two are fighting one another. There is a tension of you trying to preserve what you think should be right, because it's pretty good at the minute. Don't get me wrong, it is pretty good. But you may be operating on some illusions and holding yourself back and chaining yourself by trying to maintain what is. Because one thing with this Two of Discs, here, it's dynamic. It's an Ouroboros, but in the shape of the infinity symbol, which I've forgotten the name of again. But that's a dynamic, you know, constantly going round. That's not really a figure eight, is it? That's better. So look within. I would say yes, go for the new beginning, whatever that means. But be forgiving as you do it. Because the other card we've got here is embarking on an adventure. I savour the wonders of the world. There's this whole vibe here with this sun card and the massive orrery that guy is stood in, with the death card being clarified by the universe or the world. There's this whole idea of coming out into a larger reality. That's what I might call the reading. But that's something that you are only going to be able to do if you stop stressing. But that stress has been given to you by Spirit to make you aware of this dichotomy that's going on. You're happy enough where you are, but you can move forward and be even more of you than what you have been so far. Yeah, that's a nice way of putting it. Be even more of you than you have been so far. Okay, so if it means anything to you, comment down below. I've probably given you the like, share, subscribe speech in the intro anyway, so I don't know what your next readings will be. I haven't planned that far ahead. I have a list of readings I want to look at. What I'll get done, I don't know, but I will see you soon. Cheers.